Matthew Johnson, sister city with Yamanashi City. You want to come up, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you want to serve?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I don't know fully what all goes into the Sister City Committee. I've been interested in sister cities, just kind of as just curiosity for other, larger cities. You always look on Wikipedia and you see them. And I recently just purchased a house and was on the Sioux City website and noticed that there was a committee for one of our sister cities. So I just, kind of almost impulse applied for the
Wow,
applied for it.
Good
And
job.
Very good.
We like it.
so and now I'm here. So
Excellent.
I don't know if there's
All right.
any
Well, good.
other.
I think we have.
Sometimes the unknown works out. So that's great.
All right, we'll let you know.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, awesome.
Super
Thank
easy.
you.
Have a great day.
You as well.
Consent agenda today is items 3 through 13F. You can consider them to pass unanimously unless a separate roll call vote is requested by a council member. If you want to speak on an agenda item, please come up as I read that item. If you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, please come up under citizen concerns, and please remember to always state your name for the record. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
3 is the reading of the city council minutes of June 15, 2026. 4 is a resolution amending resolution number 2023-0471, establishing the wastewater treatment plant reconstruction and design advisory committee by extending the term expiration date of the committee and its members to September 30th, 2026.
Is there any reason to believe that we shouldn't extend it just even another 6 months just in case? Is there any reason not to?
We're hoping it'll be probably conclusion by September 30.
Okay.
5 is a resolution adopting construction documents for the Hamilton Boulevard resurfacing project. I should have asked this, Gordon, are you getting rid of all those worthless medians that have nothing but big hunks of them missing because we don't know how to plow around them? I'm not blaming the snowplow drivers. I'm blaming those stupid medians that only we have in Sioux City, Iowa anymore.
Gordon Fair, city engineer. That is the plan in that section from 15th to 20th.
Yes.
The ones that are not in use.
And we're considering that throughout the city. Every time we have a reconstruction is if it's not needed to control traffic crossing through it,
Yes.
left turn,
Yes.
and it's going to be a painted median like we did at Meyer Brothers there on Hamilton. We don't.
I haven't been a fan since 1986.
Well, I haven't been on the Public Works team, so there you go.
Okay. 6 are actions relating to grants. A is a resolution approving a $50,000 grant to Saturday in the Park. Mike, please explain for the public where the $50,000 is coming from.
So this was budgeted during the budget cycle. $25,000 was originally budgeted through the Explore Siouxland budget. We edited that, and so the total has been budgeted for. Just the whole amount is coming through the city of Sioux City now.
Okay. B is a resolution authorizing the police department to submit an application to the JAG State Crisis Intervention Innovation Program for grant funding for a cloud-based scalable security platform. C is a resolution accepting a transit joint participation agreement with IDOT for the grant to purchase 2 light-duty buses. D is a resolution accepting a grant agreement from Homeland Security and Emergency Management.
Nicole, did somebody in legal have a chance to look at this agreement? When I went through it, there were some aspects. I just want to make sure that somebody had a chance to look at it quick before we approve it.
Yes. Unfortunately, as far as the city changing terms related to these federal grants, we're fairly limited.
But you've reviewed and you're comfortable submitting it for
Yes,
our...
and we have to sign off on these as well.
Very good.
E1 is a resolution accepting a grant agreement from the FAA for taxiway C rehabilitation project at the airport. E2 is a resolution accepting a grant agreement from the FAA to fund the construction of the perimeter fence improvement project at the airport. F is a resolution authorizing fire rescue to submit a grant application for a fire prevention safety grant for the purchase of smoke alarms for the use in the safe home smoke alarm check programs.
So is this a retroactive grant program because it's fiscal year '25?
It's ongoing.
Mark Aesop, Fire Marshal. No, it is not. They just opened the fiscal year '25 grant period. That's how far behind.
Okay, thank you.
Seven are actions relating to street closures. A is a resolution temporarily closing a portion of Larson Park Road on the Riverfront Trail July 3rd for the Independence Day Parade and staging. B is a resolution amending Resolution 2026-0370, temporarily closing various streets in the downtown area by adding an additional date of closure, August 22nd, for the Hard Rock and Casinos Battery Park Concert Series. 8 are actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution approving a pre-design agreement with IDOT for the Gordon Drive Viaduct reconstruction project. B is a resolution approving a consulting services agreement with the University of Iowa Office of State Archaeologists in connection with the National Register nomination for the historic Pearl Street District.
So this is to use the grant writers from the university to assist in that process. I was surprised it was only $26,000. That seemed very, very reasonable.
This is Wade Schultz, City Planning Staff Liaison to the Historic Preservation Commission. This is the National Register nomination. They previously did all the site inventory sheets in the neighborhood over there, so they've got a lot of this research kind of already done, so.
Okay, thanks.
C is a resolution approving a contract for transportation services with the City of South Sioux City. D is a resolution approving a contract for transportation service for the City of Sergeant Bluff.
Question. So on those, so just so I'm clear, this is the agreement that we have that we're running our buses into South Sioux and into Sergeant Bluff, right? That's what this is?
Yes.
And the appetite is that I was told that last year they raised the fees nominally on these?
Yeah, so we increased both of these. We also get grant funds from
Feds.
federal government
Yep.
through the state of Nebraska and through the state of South Dakota that pair with these.
So my question is, do
State of
the,
South Dakota or State of Nebraska?
Both.
Okay,
Oh,
my-
I'm sorry,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
okay.
I was
I
thinking.
understand.
Yep, okay.
so my question is, the fees, so this is, only goes back to the individual riders, right? So that the fees we're talking about, this being assessed to the riders themselves?
This fee goes through the city. The city pays this directly to us.
The city pays?
We also get a fee from the riders that ride these.
They're paying us to come over there and pick up their riders.
Exactly.
This kind of fits in that same category of the wastewater with me. It's like, I know it sounds bad, but, and then I get it, it's essential transportation, but buy your own buses. So I think fees should go up.
The only other question, Mike, isn't it fair to say that a large part of the support we get for the buses that we purchase are because of the additional districts that we provide service to?
Not necessarily. This goes directly into the operating costs.
But the fact, when we apply for federal funding to acquire the buses, the fact that we go into interstate routes assists in that grant application.
To somewhat, if we have additional rides and miles, just as a whole, it would add to that.
Because my understanding is the federal funding is based upon 50% of expenses, right?
Yep.
So, and I get it's maybe not money out of pocket. My question is, with this, if we raise the fees, what's the standard fee like for in Nebraska? What are we getting paid?
From a rider,
Yeah.
depends on, just a regular adult rider is $1.80.
So then what do we get from South Sioux?
We get this 70,000, plus we get federal money through the state of Nebraska, that's about 300,000, I would say.
On that? Would raising that 70,000 to 100 grand, would that,
That's additional 30,000 right to us.
just to us?
Yep.
Or wear and tear on the buses,
Right, that's
et
where
cetera,
I'm, Julie, I'm
from
with you.
going,
Yeah.
yep, going further.
That's where I'm going with this too, is like, you know, I know we're probably competitive with other communities, and that's what the research we talked about is pretty competitive, but I'm going back to this, you know, I'm tired of this piggybacking on the Iowa side of the river and the Sioux City side of it with you know, with services. So what do we get, so it's 70,000 we get from South Sioux, what do we get from Sergeant Bluff?
Sergeant Bluff's about 14,000, but it really depends on miles and
Sure.
where we're traveling through already.
Okay.
So how much are we really going
And we
out of
don't
our
get
way?
additional funds through Iowa because we're already in Iowa.
Right. Can we, is this got a time urgency to it? Can we defer this
There
for a week?
does. There
What's
is.
the urgency?
July 1.
July 1
Oh, so we would need to amend it today if we're going to do something?
would be today, or
They-
do we have to
they've
give,
approved
do we have
this
to give
and signed
notice?
it.
Do we have to give notice to those two communities like we did with the wastewater?
Not
Mr. Mayor,
officially-
what are your
not-
thoughts, Don?
Not officially, but I wouldn't want to do that to them without just.
Yeah,
their
that's why I
notice.
asked. Yeah. Because they got budget too. What's the council's thought on that?
I don't know that we have enough time to give them notice for this year's contract. Is this a
Notice.
one-year contract, Mike?
What's that?
Is it a one-year contract?
It is a 1 year. They're all 1 years, just so we can revisit them.
Maybe the idea is to move forward now with the understanding that we'll revisit the numbers, better analyze. Maybe this would be a good
Budget.
budget issue, but also for the effective fiscal policy committee.
And South Sioux City, City Council has already approved this, so I think we should approve it and then revisit it.
I'm sure
for
they
next-
did. It's a great deal for them. They get a bus for 14 grand.
Not a great deal. They're not, I'm just telling you, it's a better deal for the city than it is for them, but
So you don't think, I mean,
quit hauling them there because the benefit is for our citizens more than theirs. We have more
I get
people
that.
going to
I'm
South
talking
Sioux to
about
work
citizens.
than they got coming to Sioux City to work. So you're going, if they go to their own bus system, you're going to we're still going to have to figure out how to haul people over there.
Well, but
And we
this'll
get paid
give us-
on ridership
Right.
somehow too. It's in the formula, but.
Well, if we approve this,
if it's such a good deal, why don't they have a bus?
Well, if they have a bus, it doesn't do us any good at my system.
We only care about the people.
But if I got people in my neighborhood that are going to South Sioux to work, and all of a sudden they don't have a bus, it ends at the Missouri River, that affects our people as much or more.
And Sergeant Bluff as well.
no, 'cause
Well,
those are separate contracts.
Well, but
It's the
that
same contract. It's the
Sergeant
same
Bluff
relationship.
route, that Sergeant Bluff route is the one that runs by like Seaboard and those places, so it.
I'm just saying, is they got a bus service for 70 grand and for 14 grand, and they pay
But you
property
get
tax.
state money
They-
beside.
Yeah, but they pay property taxes in South Sioux, and they pay property taxes in Sergeant Bluff.
Well, then raise it.
That's
Well, we
that's
can't
why we're
raise
having
it
this
this-
discussion.
I think this would be a good review for the effective fiscal policy committee
With a different look at it, my
Yeah.
preference would be to bring it back
for next year.
for next year, just due to the time constraint.
Yep, so we'll approve it today and bring it back for next year review. Okay,
E is a resolution approving renewal option
we pull
number.
that out as a separate
I'm
vote.
sorry.
Sorry.
I did Sergeant Bluff, right?
No,
Okay.
we're on South Sioux, but you would
D
like,
is resolution,
Thank you.
wants to pull them both for a separate vote.
Yeah.
okay?
First on C, South Sioux City, Rayford.
What are we?
You're voting to-
Rather than putting that on the consent agenda, we're voting for it separately.
No.
Shaner,
No,
Scott. Let me just make sure and clarify. You're not voting to pull it out, you're voting on the item.
You're voting on the
Voting
item.
on the
Yeah,
item.
because there's no vote
right.
required to pull it.
So no vote, no vote is,
So
We better
then-
start over.
Yeah, start
you're knocking
Let me-
down 70.
I want to make sure that was
I
clear.
assume that's what you were thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
They pull it, right?
All right, I'll start again. Rayford,
Yes.
Shaner,
no,
Scott,
Aye.
Berenstein,
Aye.
Bertrand.
No.
D is a resolution approving a contract for transportation services with the city of Sergeant Bluff. Now, they want to pull that, so call the roll on that.
Okay. Shaner,
no,
Scott,
Aye.
Berenstein,
Aye.
Bertrand,
No.
Rayford.
Aye.
E is a resolution approving renewal option number 1 to the purchase order of HICAM for the purchase of coagulant. F1 is a resolution accepting the workman's comp coverage from the IMWCA for Chapter 85 employees F2 is a resolution approving an administrative agreement with the IMWCA to administer Chapter 411 medical-only claims for police and firefighters. G is a resolution accepting the quote for excess work comp coverage from the Safety National for Chapter 411 medical-only claims for police and authorizing the city manager to execute a notification of acceptance securing excess workman's comp insurance coverage.
On F, 1, 2, and G, are there other aspects of either workers' comp coverage or medical claim coverage that we're going to find out are not being covered under our normal carriers that are going to come back as well?
Well, IMWCA has renewed the Chapter 85 for the next year.
Right?
So that is secured.
The 411 medical's secured,
411 Claims Administration.
right?
For fire and PD is secured. I mean, we'll know next fall, probably, or the winter time, as to where we're sitting as far as being picked up for another year.
Okay. Okay,
This year, they gave us some advance notice.
Okay. Thank you.
H is a resolution approving Appendix 3 to the Memorandum of Agreement with the Iowa Department of Public Defense for the warm-up holding pad project in connection with runway 1331 and the 185th apron reconstruction project at the airport. I is a resolution directing the mayor and the city clerk to execute 28E agreement for the hazardous material response services for Dakota Valley Emergency Services. J is a resolution approving a parking management agreement with ABM Industry Groups for management and operation of the airport and the downtown parking facilities.
Mike, when was the last time we revisited whether the management of the facilities could or should be handled by city staff as opposed to outsourced?
I think we looked at it this time when we went through if we were going to include that as part of the RFP process or not. And I still felt, and the board felt.
Okay, very good. Thanks.
Kind of like RS&H, once you get in, you never get out. They just keep pulling you back in, Mike. 9 are actions relating to property. A is a resolution proposing to sell part of the vacated east-west alley adjacent to 1800 Sioux Trail, 3511 Orleans Avenue, 3515 Orleans Avenue, and 3527 Orleans Avenue. The petitioners, Morningside University. B is a resolution proposing to sell the vacated north-south alley adjacent to 2310 South Clinton Street. The petitioners, Clarence Gordon. C is a resolution proposing to sell part of the vacated east-west alley adjacent to 3503 Orleans Avenue. The petitioner is George and Randy Joe Sully. 10 are actions relating to purchasing. A is a resolution canceling the purchase order issued to UBC Precap for a restroom building for the Parks Field Services. B is
On 10A, and there's no opportunity to recover, Matt?
Matt Salvatore, Parks and Recreation Director. We had a closed session on this in November. Nicole, do you remember what attempt we made on that?
Options were presented to the council, and the decision was to just proceed forward.
Thank you.
Yep.
B is a resolution awarding a purchase order to Ed Stivers Ford for the purchase of 2 F-350 4x4 flatbed trucks. C is a resolution awarding a purchase order to E.H. Walks for the purchase of 2 valve maintenance skid systems. D is a resolution awarding a purchase order to CDW Government for Microsoft Windows Server Data Center licenses. E is a resolution awarding a purchase order to PVSDX for the purchase of caustic solutions for the wastewater treatment plant. F is a resolution amending purchase order number 362196 issued to Hyman due to specification requirements for the purchase of 3 pumper engines. Spiro, are you here? I sent Spiro an email. I realize I'm not all that important to get a response on it, but when you bid a deal, when I bid a vehicle and I put what I want and they say they got what you want, and then all of a sudden, oh, well, that we didn't know we had to bid that.
Teresa Fitch, Assistant City Manager.
Well, that's what I asked for. I asked to find out this last week, and nobody responds around here. And I asked the chief, and he said that it was in the specs. So was it or was it not in the specs? And if it wasn't, why was it not in the specs?
Mayor, Kevin Kelleher, Assistant Fire Chief. I told the chief that it was included in the bid. That was my mistake.
Well, it'd be nice if somebody would respond around here to that, because now I'm asking questions that I was told the exact opposite.
Yes, it was caught in the review period after the award was made. In the pre-construction meeting, we caught that we had missed it. That's where we're at.
Well, Teresa, you're in charge of purchasing. Somebody should respond to emails.
I will say in this instance, typically the fire department does their own specs here. The CMG does not, so it didn't run through CMG either. They typically do their own. So I apologize, there wasn't an email response.
I asked Spiro why it wasn't in there when it was in the specs, and that's what I did.
I agree. Yep, nope, I'll handle it. Thank you.
We'll talk about that later, Mike. That's unbelievable that we can't get an answer out of here when you ask on Thursdays. 11 is applications for cigarette, tobacco, nicotine, vapor product permits. 12 are applications for liquor, for alcohol license. 13 are boards, commission, and committee minutes. That concludes the consent agenda. Anyone who want to be heard on those items?
Do you vote nay? It won't let you go back and revote. Would you like me to call it?
Yeah, I accidentally flipped my finger off.
One moment here.
Okay, sorry.
That forward. Okay. On the consent agenda, Scott,
Aye.
Berenstein,
Aye.
Bertrand,
Aye.
Rayford, Shaner.
Aye.
Recommendations of Planning and Zoning 14 is a motion acknowledging the Board of Adjustment actions of June 9th, 2026. I'll move that.
Andrew Gleiser, Planning and Zoning Chair, if you guys have any questions.
We probably will before it's done.
You know, on item 14 was Brissette, Annabelle Castillo, and Guiano. Was she misled to believe that she could get a variance when she acquired the property or when she moved the property? Do you know? You don't
I
know?
couldn't tell you if she was misled.
I don't mean by P&Z or by city staff. I'm wondering maybe in the acquisition or in the transfer of the property.
So, Gabriel Forger, City Planning, the variance that she was requesting for, she was requesting that she want to put an accessory structure in front of the principal building, which wasn't like an allowed use in the code.
Right.
So we are thinking of meeting with her to see if she can get some space beside the building to place it.
So there may be another accommodation?
Yep, if she can reduce the size of it. Yep.
Great, thank you.
She honestly didn't know that she couldn't.
That's why I was asking the question, and because it was 0-7 vote, so
Yeah.
clearly there was no question from P&Z on whether it could be done, and I just wondered if she had clarity on the request, and I'm glad we're going to try and work with her.
It sounded like a neighbor or an acquaintance kind of told her you should probably check in to see if that's okay to do, and that's when she found out that it's not.
She said she had it at her previous place, right?
Right.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know exactly where her
That passed 5-0. We'll go to a resolution approving a final plat of 2800 Gordon Drive. The petitioners Jeff Hansen and Pete Nelson. P&Z recommends approval. I'll move that.
Second?
Are they tearing that office building down? Really? Okay.
Oh, you know what? I didn't hit the button. I'm so sorry. Try that one more time.
Passes 5-0. 16 is a hearing and ordinance vacating the alley intersection adjacent to 20 17th Street. The petitioner is the City of Sioux City, and p and Z recommends approval. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing's now open.
There was a lot of discussion with that one. It sounds like there's some neighbors in the area that use some of the private property that was already previously vacated as alley access. So there was a little bit of a long discussion with that one, but at the end of the day, we directed neighborhood services, because they're looking to develop that area, to maybe do something to maybe get an alley back so they do have access to the back of their houses. But most of that was vacated a long time ago.
Anyone to be heard? Hearing's closed. Passes 5-0. Anybody opposed to waiving statutory rule?
No.
Move it.
Second.
Berenstein?
Aye.
Bertrand?
Aye.
Rayford?
Aye.
Shaner?
Aye.
Scott?
I move second and third.
Bertrand?
Aye.
Rayford? Shaner? Scott?
Aye.
Berenstein?
Aye.
Good to see you. When you find out what that big project is, we'd all like to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell Catherine to
wanna
call
come in.
sometime.
Come incognito next time.
Hearing at 17 is a hearing and resolution approving plans and specs for the Highway 75 water main upsize project. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 18 is a hearing and resolution approving plans and specs for the 13th Street Storm Sewer Improvement Project. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Did we not vote on the one before?
We did.
Yeah, okay. You loaded up pretty fast there. Good, okay.
Trying to make up for the other.
Okay. Passes 5-0. 19 is a hearing and resolution accepting the proposal of Outer Banks Apartment for land in the Teton Urban Renewal Area and authorizing and approving a development agreement and minimum assessment agreement for the property at 4203 Denise Court. Somebody else can move that one.
I'll move it.
Second?
Public hearing's now open. So as I understand this, there's a 100% tax rebate, so does that mean that we're not going to have any fire calls or police calls up there for the next 10 years?
No, none.
Because, you got 256 or 156 units behind my house. Now you got a few hundred more that we aren't going to get any taxes on, not one dime for 10 years. And people were building these with 75%. I know Mr. Bertrand and Julie want all this development, but sooner or later you got to have some tax dollars, and guys like me that get to continue to pay taxes
Well,
on our
year 10, you do get
properties.
tax dollars. That's the whole point. 100% of zero is zero.
It doesn't matter. They were
100%
building
of
with
0,
75%.
Yeah.
So, anyone to be heard?
So Clayton, help me understand, to the mayor's point, how does economic development and how does the committee analyze each project on a project-by-project basis to understand where we think we need to be in terms of incentivizing the activity? Because we're sort of setting the benchmark now.
Yeah. So I know in previous conversations with a lot of recent development, what we've been trying to do is for the first year, 50%, just to try to capture the growth, especially with the changes in legislature that are happening. And then from there, we've been looking and taking council's advice, the members of our ED team's advice, to go with that 100% to, incentivize further growth, try to boost economic development, especially in areas like that.
So both with regard to location and the nature of the property, we're trying to promote single-family dwelling, multiple-family dwelling, affordable housing.
Absolutely.
And that's the analysis that economic development went through and the committee went through as well?
Yep, exactly.
The beauty of this is I think this is between this and the adjustments that are being made in TIF with residential, this is how development should be done. Because it's not just you cut them a check, it's based upon performance and it's based upon future income. Like I said, the 100% or zero is zero. If you don't build, you don't get anything. So 10 years in the view of a city is not even a blink when you look at from a historical standpoint. And from a percentage standpoint, the way the costs are, and if you don't want $75,000 lots, you have to find a way to try to get the infrastructure in. And with the new TIF project and with this, I think that we were averaging anywhere between 7 and 13% of total input on projects. The goal should be minimum 25% of income on projects, because if not, you're just not going to cover. The developer's not making any more money; they're just getting the infrastructure in. So this is, I think, a really smart way that we've adapted here. With this new 5-member council, and people can disagree with it, but to me, it's going to stimulate the growth that we're going to see, and the projects that are now popping up in our committee from the residential side are stimulated with, yes, we are setting a new standard of what guys have a little more stability, what they can expect if they want to put their necks out there and put the infrastructure in, and
So
it's money in front.
Price the lots down?
What's that?
Because I just drove out by Elk Run or whatever, and somebody said that where we paved that street, that the lot was $145,000. I don't think that drove the price of that.
Well, we
lot
can use
down.
the same. You can use the same argument with the Lieber. Up behind Lieber, the same thing. Those were all them dollars were put in to drive down the prices of lots. And I made the same argument, Mr. Mayor, which is then they all should be $30,000 lots. So we'll see if it all pans out that way with the investment.
So you
Was
think
Elk
labor
Creek the
lots are
same?
going to be 35,000?
No, I think they're all going to be $60,000 lots.
But was
I'd
Elk
like to
Creek,
believe that's,
Yeah.
I'd like to believe they're all going to be 60,000.
No, it's going to be location based. No doubt about that. You know that.
No doubt. And
Yeah, it'll be
there aren't
location
going to be
based.
very many
Yeah.
$60,000.
God forbid a developer makes a little money along the way. I get it. It's hard to swallow.
Well, Mr. Heisroth's there, he can stand up and speak, but he built a lot of apartments with 75%.
right, but Rick, to go back, well, with the Elk Creek, I don't think they have the same development agreement that Lieber has. I mean. that was
No, it's completely
a long
different.
time ago.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
many
I get
years
it.
back. Number two, can you please expand to the cameras and to the public what you mean when you say, I know what you mean.
What's that?
When you say 0% of 0 is 0.
Oh, it's basically
Talk
saying,
about-
yeah, I mean, you got
Well,
you
we
got a blank,
do, and I
what you
don't
have
know
is you
that
have
doesn't
a
make-
blank
that
piece of
doesn't mean
ground.
you have to give
It's a blank piece of
No, it
ground.
doesn't, but I
So
just
you've
want
got a
him
piece
to
of ground that nothing is on, and it's receiving $3,000 in taxes, maybe on nothing. And if you incentivize it in year 11, what did they sign on to for minimal agreement on this one?
16.6 million?
16.6 million if the city is patient enough to wait 11 years, is what the assessment against it is. So again, if you do nothing and the incentive isn't there to put the infrastructure in, then it just sits there as vacant ground with tree stubs on it. So I know it's hard to believe, guys, but in modern America, the other communities and everything are incentivizing greater than we are even to get the infrastructure in. If we want growth, people want change and they want growth, but boy, they sure don't like to see what you got to do to get there. But I think the community supports this because it's not money out of pocket. It's money we wouldn't have. It's not money that's accrued. So, great
I use
question.
that argument every day, Rick, at 75%. I used it every day. But
And we had a ton of growth on that.
25%, we can
Look, why don't we stand back and watch and see what happens with this new incentive, with these new developments and the dollars being vested, bringing builders back. And we're so far behind on single-family housing, and I think you're going to see some growth. The stuff that's being proposed to us, this is all good, really good. Good job. Great job.
Introduce
Thanks,
yourself for the
Dan, for
record.
investing.
Clayton Bankford, Economic Development Specialist.
Thank you.
Thanks, Clayton.
Yep, thank you.
Dan, you have any thoughts?
Keep spending. There's the thoughts.
Dan Heisroth with Outer Banks Development and Apartments. First, I want to say thanks to the city staff that helped put this deal together and make things happen. I do support of what's most being said here, that if you notice over the past 20 years, there's quite a trend where a lot of the Sioux City developers have left town. And quite frankly, it's because you can do better incentives and make more money elsewhere. You can't have a deal that's so skinny where there's no room at all from a developer standpoint to have any margin of error or any risk. So that's why you see a lot more development going on out in the Dunes area. South Dakota, Nebraska have much different TIF terms and incentives, and this really makes it a lot more competitive by offering something like this to happen.
Dan, how did you build all those 18 units or whatever out to Whispering Creek? How did you do it? Are you not making any money on them? Because every time.
2.95% interest.
What's that?
2.95% interest. A lot of the deals earlier that we were trying to make happen when interest rates were extremely low.
That started after interest rates went high, Dan. Come on.
No,
My
2.95
daughter
is
just
what we
moved
have
there
on that.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2.95 is the rate we have on that. Now, they're going to be adjusting. But the one you're probably referring to is Avenue East 1. We're at 75% on that. And initially, when we started that project, and I don't believe Marty's here, but there was another development agreement in place ahead of that we were working on, and then all that changed. So that project, we kind of were already started, and then it was a moving target. And I think, Mr. Mayor, as you mentioned, we were trying to get 100% at that time. I think you had offered 50. And I did a comparison of where we were supposed to be at, and we ended up being at 75. But, 75, if you look at the current city abatement program, it's already at, for residential development, you already are at 50%, 100% for 3 years, 50% it's a graduated abatement. So to go from that to 75 is not much. It's much more attractive to go to the 100% for the 10 years. And I think it will stimulate things. I'd like to see developers coming back to Sioux City. I'd like to see more plans
Dan, we
happening.
went 30 years around here and didn't build any apartments.
We haven't built much of anything, you're right.
Now, wait a minute. We have built more apartments in the last 10 years than they did the 30 previous years.
Right, and I think.
Yeah,
I
but
built-
that also comes back with
and a lot of
workforce,
that-
housing tax credits, state incentivized. 90% of those of workforce, that has nothing to do with what we did with the city, trust me.
And when we did our first development,
I
we
don't
did
know
get.
why anybody would build in this city. I don't get it.
Well, we asked ourselves that for the last 6, 7
Well, I
years.
don't
You know what?
understand.
We continue to ask it. That's why I got holes in South Dakota too.
Yeah, okay.
And for our first project, we did get some dig funds on that, so it was a different funding stream. We didn't get the tax abatement, but we did get dig funds, plus then the residential property tax abatement on that as well. So really, if you look at what we got before some other projects combined with the typical residential rebates that were done at that time, it's not that far off. So
Dan, one thing that I know for certain, you and I have talked about this, so I'm not going to shock you. No matter what we do, developers it's never enough.
I don't think I've come to the table asking for more and more and more. I mean, we
Okay.
had discussions on it, and that's kind
Okay.
of where we've been. But, yeah, I mean, most business people in general try to get the
Yeah,
best deal they can.
absolutely, that's your job. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So Dan, on a good note, I saw the retention report this week, and we are at 4 days for residential permits right now.
Great.
Darrell is. So that's went from 38 to 4. So I'm be curious to hear some of your feedback on the process too. With the feedback's been good so far. And is Darrell in here? I don't know if Darrell's in here or not.
On the improvements in the process.
So yeah,
That's great.
So hopefully any resistance, let us know, and we'll keep it rolling.
Okay.
Customer service. So
And we are working on another residential development in the Morningside area that I can't announce yet, but we'll be bringing it
Good.
to your table here in the
Spend
next
some
probably
money.
month or two.
Yeah.
Should be
Forward
another
that
30
one.
or 40 homes or so if we
Good.
work out right. So.
good. Thanks for what you
Forward
do.
Yeah,
to it.
thank you.
Thanks, Dan. One quick comment. Is Teresa still here?
Yep.
So I have a question. To the mayor's point about the 100% abatement for that length of period, and I know he was not in jest, but he was talking sort of tongue-in-cheek about, well, I guess we won't have any fire department or police department issues in that area. For the fiscal management committee, maybe they want to consider and review, as the economic development team reviews projects, that maybe we should look at a fee for service for fire department or police department or otherwise, so that we can at least address those kinds of issues. They'd be relatively nominal compared to the support that we're giving to Dan and other developers, but maybe something that the policy committee wants to look at.
Teresa Fitch, Assistant City Manager, I'm not sure I understand. You mean to each project,
Well,
the cost?
a
Oh,
flat fee
okay.
per call, and I know some of those calls do get, there's a fee structure
We
with
can do
EMS
that.
and otherwise, but maybe there needs to be a fee structure related
I don't
to,
think-
because isn't there a,
I'm not sure we can do that legally.
Is that legal?
I think that there is a fee structure with certain nonprofits, because years and years ago, there were nonprofits that were assessed a fee that were nonprofit, not taxable, and I think there was a fee structure for those kinds of calls.
I can certainly work
Can you
with
look
legal
into that? I
to
may be
determine
wrong.
if that's
You
I
can
may-
have a fee for
possible or
service
not.
because in a rural fire department, if they make a call, they get charged.
Okay, I'll work with legal to
It may
determine
be,
if that's
yeah.
a possibility or
It's
not.
worth considering.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hearing is closed.
Is that eligible to waive, Mayor? Is there-
What's that?
No, it's just a resolution, not an ordinance. Mhm.
Passes 4-1. I vote no. 20 is a hearing and resolution approving plans and specs for the Siouxland Nexus Program Volume 5 tanker warm-up and holding pad project at the airport. I'll move that. Public hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 20 is a hearing resolution accepting the proposal of Bishop Heelan Catholic Schools for land in the combined central Sioux City CBD urban renewal area property at 1100 Douglas Street. Somebody will need to move that. Public hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 4-1. I vote no. Citizen concerns. Are there any citizens to be heard? If so, please come forward. No citizens. We'll go to council concerns. Rick?
Janelle's got a couple slides just to update the council on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
For the process for police chief hiring, just to let you
Yeah.
know kind of what we put together for thoughts right now.
And Janelle, real quick, why we asked you to do this, twofold. Number one, tonight is the closing of the
It is.
application
Midnight-
process.
midnight tonight. Yep.
And then second of all, it'll help educate the public and the council on the process itself. And also, a lot of times I don't think the public understands that we don't have an opportunity, the five of us, to sit and actually have an open discussion about issues like this, because obviously for open meeting laws. So this hopefully will give us an opportunity to kind of have a little dialogue also on kind of where we think the city is and what we're looking for in a new chief and kind of a way forward. So I appreciate it. Simon.
Janelle Bertrand, Human Resources Director. Just a little historical background. Iowa Code Chapter 400 covers civil service, and the chief of, both of our chiefs, chief of police and the fire chief, are covered under civil service. And the examination is open. When I say examination, I mean the application process is open to everyone, inside the city as well as outside. There are two types of appointments under civil service. One is an entrance, and what that means, it's open to external and internal applicants. The second type of appointment is a promotional, and that is only open to internal city employees. The chiefs are entrants, so we have to go externally. As I think you saw on the slide, before you guys come in, we post all our vacancies. The chief is up there. It was open on May 22nd. It closes tonight at midnight. When I did this slide, we had 15 applicants, but before I came here, I checked again. We are now up to 19, and I have kind of broken down where they're all from. As of now, there are 3 from Iowa and 1 from Alabama, in addition to what we have up there. And those listed on the right is where the jobs have been posted. We've contracted with a recruitment firm, and they've done a lot of outreach, which is why I think you'll see a lot of applicants from outside of the Midwest area. This is sort of a guideline as to what we're doing going forward. The week of July 13th, tentatively, is when, well, it's that week, but we don't know how many days we will need. That's when we'll have the assessment center. What that means, it's a 3-part examination under civil service. There'll be a written exercise, a presentation, and an oral examination. The assessment center will be made up of someone from the Civil Service Commission if he or she is available, an Iowa police chief. We'll either have the fire chief or the communications, or both, center director from here, a human resources professional, which will be me, and the recruiter, who is a retired police chief, will be the panel for the assessment center. It is scored. There's criteria that all applicants have to meet, and you have to have a passing score of 70%. And each person must pass each phase of the assessment center in order to be placed on the eligibility list. The eligibility list will be presented to the Civil Service Commission the week of July 20th. We will have to schedule a meeting and make sure we have a quorum. So sometime during the week of the 20th, we will have a commission meeting. And according to the police chief rules, up to 10 names will be certified and placed on the eligibility list, and that list is valid for 1 year. After the list is certified, it comes to the hiring manager, and in visiting with the city manager, we have tentatively scheduled the week of August 3rd, and there will be some interview panels that will be made up of department heads, the Sioux City Police Officer Association. We will have a community/city council panel, and there will also be a ride-along where the people will be able to get to know the community. In addition to passing the civil service requirements, there are also other requirements under the ILEA, and I'm not as up to speed and can't speak as much on those as I can with the civil service terms. But ILEA, there's all sorts of qualifiers that the applicants have to have. They are reaching out to ILEA now to determine if there's any sort of reciprocity, or if what they currently have in another state, what is recognized in the state of Iowa. In addition to those things, the applicants must pass the MFPRSI pre-employment medical examination, which also includes a drug and alcohol test prior to someone starting. So that's the process in a nutshell. Do you have any questions?
No, don't ask that question, because this was on advice of the city attorney. This was not posted in the agenda.
Oh, that's right.
So there will be no discussion or question. Want to have questions asked, then we'll put it on the agenda next week, but we
That'd be great. Could we do that next week?
Okay.
We have a meeting next week?
We don't have a meeting next week, but on the 6th, we can put it on there.
That way we can have a discussion then.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Now, Rick, council concerns.
Thanks, Gino.
Thanks, Janelle. Look forward to a couple weeks. I'll table the questions there. Citizen concerns. Real quick, I think Teresa already left, didn't she, Fitz? She was going to give us an update on the demo. She sent that memo out.
Send the memo out.
Yeah, I saw the memo come out. I'd love to see her in next meeting come and talk to us a little bit about it. Should she find some more cash and that prioritization on the list? I know the citizens are seeing the demos come down and are responding positively. Sergeant Bluff and South Sioux City, you got a year and your bus rates are going up, so it'll be a great discussion in a year. And then, actually, everything else was based upon the sheriff. I'll just leave it at that. Let's have a great week. Thanks.
Craig?
Just a quick note. I know we have meetings tomorrow at noon. We have a joint meeting with P&Z, and I have my monthly chamber meeting, so I'm going to try and go to both. I'll probably come to P&Z first, then go to the chamber meeting, but I should be able to be here, briefly.
Mike?
Just real quick, I wanted to say that this weekend, the NAACP celebrated Juneteenth, had a great turnout, lots of folks from the community, and it's always good to see those events taking place and the engagement.
I think Monique said there were about 300 plus people.
Yeah.
It was a little bit understated in the media, but for sure, over 300 people. That's amazing. I missed it this year because I was out in Florida. Usually I go. So last year we had great ribs and all kinds of great barbecue, so I missed out on it this year. Yes, we do have a joint meeting tomorrow, of which I have another meeting, so I won't be attending. So I'm glad that you can go, Craig, for the quorum. Other than that, I have nothing. We do have a big parade coming up on July 3rd. I'm going to be reminding everybody in social media. So please show up at the riverfront. You still have time to get a float or a marching band or a drum line or something like that in. So please contact, go online and look for it, and you can register yourself there.
We adjourn.
Second. Rayford.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott. Berenstein.
Aye.
Bertrand.
Aye.